What's up, kinfolk? Welcome to our UFL show on the number one college football show. I am your host, RJ Young. Thank you for watching on the Fox Sports app, YouTube, or listening wherever you get your podcast. Today, I'm going to talk about the UFL. I'm going to talk about week 9 going into the UFL season, and I'm going to talk about the UFL power rankings, maybe with some sort of finality here. And we're going to get into the MVP, which I think is locked up, and talk a little bit about what we can look forward to in the postseason for the UFL. So let's start with the UFL Week 9 power rankings as I wrote them following Sunday's games, okay? Number 8, all the way up to number 1. Number 8, Memphis Showboats. Reeling, took a bad loss against DC Defenders. John DeFilippo's squad really has tried to find its quarterback. They've started 3 different quarterbacks this year. Josh Love got the start. Didn't go that well, but Josh Love, when he's played for John DeFilippo, has looked pretty good. Carnell Lake's defense, still at 6s and 7s, man. And I'm not talking about 3-6 Mafia album over here. They look bad. Carnell Lake's got to get that figured out, or John DeFilippo's got to be figuring out what the defense got to be for 2025, because that's where your head's got to be going into this final week of regular season play. Number 7 on the list, the Houston Roughnecks, CJ Johnson squad. Again, a team that I think is better than their record, but not that much better than their record. A lot of talent on that football team, a lot of talent that they drafted, that they brought in. It hasn't been able to find its rhythm. And Mark Thompson hasn't been the guy that he showed himself to be last year when he was the USFL Offensive Player of the Year. Justin Hall, though, finally got into the end zone twice, but outside of that, really hard to find positive things to say about the offense. Even as the defense has played admirably at times, they just haven't been playing good enough to win football games. A lot of that is just procedural. Like, they're making some mistakes that really are self-inflicted. And if they were able to clean those up, I think we're talking about a team that at the very least would be challenging for a playoff spot right now, as opposed to just be looking forward to 2025. Number 6, the DC Defenders. When Jordan Ta'amu has been good, the Defenders have been great. He was good against the Memphis Showboats. This is a team, though, that was 9-1 last year and hasn't looked anything like that. They're fighting to get to 500 for the end of the season. But I think it's fair to say that the Defenders should have been vying for a playoff spot this season, and they have not met that bar. So Reggie Barlow's got to get that figured out going into the offseason. Maybe you get Jordan Ta'amu back, but I think Jalen McClendon has shown enough to compete with DeAndre Francois for the starting job if Jordan Ta'amu makes an NFL roster, 53-man roster, like, say, Alex Magoo did last year with the Green Bay Packers this year. Number 5 on the list, the Arlington Renegades. The Renegades came up with a massive win against the St. Louis Battlehawks, which really started what was a remarkable Saturday, right? So finally, Bob Stoops' Renegades started playing like the team I thought they were going to be when we opened the season, playing to their talent, right? Luis Perez is out there dealing. They have some outstanding wideouts. Sal Cannella, one of the best pass catchers in this league. Deontay Burnett coming on his way, right? I think when Jay Hayes' defense figures itself out, they're good. They just haven't figured themselves out quick enough. But they're higher in the power rankings because they came up with an outstanding win against what I think is one of the 2 best teams, or 3 best teams in the UFL. Okay. Now, Final 4, these are all playoff teams, right? Start with the St. Louis Battlehawks, who look like a different team when A.J. McCarron is not starting quarterbacks. Not that Manny Wilkins is bad. It's that Manny Wilkins is different. That said, when it came down to crunch time, you need to go get some plays made. There was reason to believe Manny Wilkins was the backup, right? And the reason that A.J. McCarron was the starter. You understand what it's like for that dude to be the facilitator. Now, Manny Wilkins has more wiggle than A.J., and he's going to be out there running around more than A.J., but A.J. is going to take better advantage, I think, of guys like Hakeem Butler, guys like Ja'Cour Pearson. Say nothing of Julian Sayers, who's been outstanding for them in the backfield, along with Wayne Gallman when he has been ready to play. I think that the Battlehawks in this spot is not something we expected going into the final season or final week of the season, because we thought the Battlehawks would show up home field advantage, which would be huge because the UFL championship is going to be played at their house. Now, that is up for grabs going into this week, as they're going to play the number 2 team on this list. But we're going to talk about number 3 before I get to number 2. Michigan Panthers are number 3. Michigan Panthers are in a spot that I don't envy. I think it kind of sucks for them. The reason I think it kind of sucks for them is because after they got their win They're going to be playing the Birmingham Stallions this week. Now, they would normally be playing for an opportunity to host the USFL Conference Championship. But because of a scheduling snafu at Ford Field, they're going to have to play the USFL Championship at Protective Stadium, even if they are the 1 seed. Kind of sucks. It's kind of not what you draw up, right? But that's what it means to be playing right now in this league. And I think, if nothing else, they get to play with a chip on their shoulder, and rightfully so. Now, they played Danny Etling to start the first half in their win against Houston, but they got Bryce Perkins on the field. Now, Mike Nolan has said that Danny Etling is their starting quarterback, and I believe him. But Bryce Perkins has looked like the better quarterback to me. And I would not be surprised to find out if it ain't going Danny Etling's way, Marcel Belfield might actually say, hey, go get me the guy from Virginia so we can go win this game. And maybe you hold that for next week, because there's going to be a lot of gamesmanship this week between these top 4 teams, because they got to see each other, right? The Michigan Panthers have to play the Birmingham Stallions this week and next week in the USFL Championship. That's going to be a lot of fun. Now, number 2, I mentioned San Antonio Brahmas as the team that really has the most to play for right now, because the St. Louis Battlehawks took an unexpected loss, right? Let's call it the biggest upset of the year when the Renegades beat them. Now, San Antonio Brahmas will go to the Dome at America Center with an opportunity to host the XFL Conference Championship game if they get the win. So knowing that you're going to play the Battlehawks twice in a row, Wade Phillips is going to come up there going, hey guys, everything we can do to sell out to win this game, because we don't want to play here again the following week, because that is the best home field advantage in spring football. They routinely get more than 30,000 people to show up for their games at the Dome. And you just don't want to be there in a playoff atmosphere where you got even more people showing up because they're interested. They want to see a championship won in their town. You want to take that from them if you're San Antonio. And you know you're a good football team in San Antonio, because San Antonio Brahmas became the first team to beat the Birmingham Stallions in 379 days. Okay? They did that last week in San Antonio. So you want to get the Battlehawks in San Antonio, because if you beat the Birmingham Stallions, hold them to 9 damn points, you can sure as hell do that to the St. Louis Battlehawks, or at least that's what you would think. Now, whether or not Cody Latimer is going to be healthy for this game is also at issue. He needed to be carted off the field in their win against Birmingham. You also got Chase Garbers back into the fold, right? After Quentin Dormady got you through the middle of the season, Chase Garbers came off the bench in this one, and they look like a better football team. They also took advantage of their run game in a way that I haven't seen them do in some time. They rushed for over 200 yards against John Chavis's Birmingham Stallions defense, and that was one reason why the offense had such a hard time getting going for the Stallions. Again, this is a team that had scored at least 20 points in every game that they had played this season, scored just 9 against the Brahmas, right? That's remarkable. That is the UFL's best defense beating the best offense, what I think is the best offense in all of the UFL. Then number 1, I got the Birmingham Stallions, who again took their first loss in over a calendar year before the Brahmas beat them on Saturday. The Stallions had not lost a game since May 13th of the 2023 season to the Houston Gamblers, now the Roughnecks, which means that the only teams that have been able to beat Birmingham in the last year have both been from Texas. Michigan ain't from Texas, right? And if you are the Stallions, you might want to see the Brahmas once again. You might want to see the Battlehawks once again. You beat the Battlehawks at Protective, right, with A.J. McCarron starting the game. And you want to have another shot at the Brahmas, because I don't think the Brahmas absolutely dismantled the Stallions by any stretch. Matter of fact, Adrian Martinez came back on the field with an opportunity to go win it, and then did the first thing that I associate with Adrian Martinez from Nebraska all year. He threw an interception in the end zone with the game on the line, okay? He's thrown just 3 interceptions all year long, but that was a big one because they had opportunity to go down the field, get 6, and maybe tie, because remember, in the UFL, you can go for 3 and make a 1-score game is always going to be 9 points, right? 9 points or fewer, you're in this thing. And we got the 4th and 12 for the alternative for the outside kick, so I think it's going to be cool. So we all know that the Birmingham Stallions and the Michigan Panthers are going to play each other back-to-back. San Antonio Brahmas, St. Louis Battlehawks are going to play each other back-to-back. And I'm curious to see what we see, if anything, that they show in these games, specifically in the Birmingham Stallions Michigan Panthers game, because that game's going to be played at Protective for the playoffs anyway. Whereas the San Antonio Brahmas going to be selling out to try to beat the St. Louis Battlehawks and try to get themselves that home field advantage going into the XFL championship game. Either way, we're all going to be around here talking about Father's Day and watching the UFL's inaugural championship at the Dome at America Center in St. Louis, where could see 50,000 people showing up, especially if the Battlehawks are in that game. Okay, just quickly talk about the Week 9 MVP power rankings. Number 3, I got Darius Shepard, who, when he's been on the field, has been outstanding for the Battlehawks. He averages 152 all-purpose yards per game, and that's with one fewer game than the top 9 players in all-purpose yards. He has not accounted for 1 rushing yard, so all of his yards have been kick return, punt return, or receiving. I think that we should be talking about special teams players as MVP candidates in this league because special teams is such a big deal. One, the kickers have been great. You've heard me talk about Jake Bates and what I think about him. He had a miss, so he kind of missed the MVP game, you know what I'm saying? But I think the Darius Shepard being an XFL Special Teams Player of the Year also helped me understand what that means as far as these spring leagues. When you're kicking off from deep, your kick returner is going to have an opportunity to return kicks. Punt returner is going to have an opportunity to return kicks. They can be a difference maker for you on the football field. Number 2, another St. Louis Battlehawk, Hakeem Butler, wide receiver, 6'6", 240. That dude, when he's been on the field, has got everybody's attention. Now, he was mostly held in check last week, but 1, Manny Wilkins still throwing passes, and 2, everybody's decided we're going to take away Hakeem Butler. And that last year was the XFL's leading receiver, and across both spring leagues, the leading receiver among pro spring league football teams. And then you're talking about just what he can do against one-on-one coverage and how you just don't want to leave him there. And that's with Ja'Cour Pearson still being over there, who I also think is one of the 5-6 best receivers in this league, to say nothing of what else you might get from your running back. I think Hakeem Butler lets everybody else do their job and do their job very well. And so I'm going to put him here as number 2 on my MVP power rankings, but I think the MVP is going to go to Adrian Martinez, who I got at 1, who had it 1 for a few weeks now, who has demonstrated himself to be really the quarterback we all thought he could be coming out of high school. And I credit Skip Holtz with this because Skip Holtz has been an outstanding play caller, an outstanding quarterbacks coach. His offense routinely has 4,000-yard passers, then guys that throw for 30 TDs going back to college. And he's having a ball coaching guys like Adrian Martinez, coaching guys like Matt Corral, coaching guys like Jamar Smith. And I think he is demonstrating just what that offense is capable of, given what Adrian Martinez had in the way of baggage, what Alex Magoo had in the way of baggage, and Magoo being an MVP and Adrian Martinez likely to be that guy going into the final week of the regular season in the UFL. All right. I'm pleased to be joined by San Antonio Brahmas defensive back, Jordan Mosley. Jordan, how you doing?
I'm good, man. I appreciate you for having me on again.
It is a thrill to have you because I get to talk to somebody who was able to do something that hasn't happened in 379 days, right? The San Antonio Brahmas got a really great win against the Birmingham Stallions, and not for nothing, but held them to single digits. What did it feel like to get that win at the end after you get that game-sealing interception from the defense?
It was great. Shout out to Tease. He's the one who got that pick, but it felt good. Like we just trying to win games and stack every win, and that's what we did. We prepared the right way, and we knew that was going to be a great team, and I felt like it was a great game, and we came out on top like we expected to.
Adrian Martinez had been doing a really great job of taking whatever the defense was giving him throughout the year. If they were stacking the box, he would hit somebody in a one-on-one. If they were dropping back, he would take off and run. What was the game plan from Coach Reed going into that game?
Just slow him down as much as possible. Try to take him off his first read and D-line really just keep him inside the pocket as much as possible. We know he's lethal with his legs, so he got out a few times, but our job was just to keep him contained and slow him down as much as possible.
The Arlington Renegades set the table with a win against the St. Louis Battlehawks, and then y'all followed through with a win against the Stallions this weekend. Got to go to St. Louis. Got to try to get a win, because you get that win, you get the host in San Antonio. So what's the focus like inside the locker room as you head to practice?
We approach every game the same. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't matter if it's Arlington, St. Louis, Birmingham, but obviously we want to win and get home field advantage because we love the fans in San Antonio. They really give us energy. So obviously we're just trying to win. Like, we're approaching this game like any other game, and we expect to come out, victorious.
Is it fair to call you a box safety because you're leading the league in tackles?
I mean, whatever you guys want to call me, I'm fine with. I just play the defense. If I got to play back, I'll play back. If I play up, I'll play up. If I got to guard, a tight end, wide receiver, running back, I just do what I got to do to help the team. But whatever you guys want to call me.
You remind me of a guy named Tony Jefferson who played at Oklahoma, and I think he's actually coming out of retirement to play in the NFL a little bit. But he was a safety that they funneled the tackles to because they knew he could make them. I don't think they funneled the tackles to you, but how is it that you were able to find the ball as often as you can?
Just effort. We run into the ball. So you obviously got to run to the ball. And then our D-line and our linebackers do such a great job just stuffing the inside gap. Sometimes it just falls off the table to me. Some defenses we call, our interior just eats up all the gaps. And then I see the running back try to jump cut to the outside, and I'm shooting that. Once I see the gaps are filled, I'm shooting that outside and try to make any tackle I can.
You certainly don't make a lot of false steps. And I say that as a dude playing quarterback. I'm going, hey, I know which way he's going. His feet are going to stay where they are until such time as I give him permission, I guess, to move, because you're really great at watching what the quarterback is doing. And I wonder how much of that is from practice, because A.J. Smith's offense has a lot going on, but they also like to go fast. What's it like going up against that offense?
We like to say we the best defense in the league, and we practice against the best offense. That's how I look at our wide receivers and our quarterback, and our tight ends are just really great, and our running back. Our offense is pretty great. So it's iron sharpens iron every day at practice, and we see a lot of stuff at practice. So I can't say that I'm too surprised when we get to the game.
It feels like it's coming together for y'all right at the right time. Your defense is outstanding, right? But you also got 200 yards rushing from the offense, something we hadn't seen, frankly, from San Antonio until this week. Is slowing down and really playing to the strengths of the defense. Wade Phillips is a defensive coach. We know this, but it seems like he wants to put you guys on the field in game time situations. What's it like to have that confidence from a dude that's as legendary as Wade Phillips?
Just all praise to Wade, and to me, all praise to God. As a defensive player, as a competitor, I want to be on the field when the clock hits zero. Like, I want to be there on the last drive. I don't want to have to rely on anybody. But our team is set up the way it is. Like you saw in the I think we played Memphis and then Houston. If our offense has to be on the field last, I have the utmost confidence that they're going to score and that we're going to win the game. But I would rather, of course, be on the field and get like a 3-and-out or get a 4th down stop or get a pick like we did last week to seal the game. But either or, it doesn't matter for this type of team.
One of the things that I've been hitting on throughout these interviews and throughout the season really is the level of talent in the UFL. It is the most talented spring football league we've seen in this era. I wonder, do you see that across the board, the level of talent being raised since the legacy XFL has become the UFL?
Yeah, I wasn't too familiar with I think it was the USFL. I heard of it, and then I was with the XFL last year. Last year, there was talent on all teams, but I felt like there was a drop-off towards like the back half of the rosters last year. This year, without a doubt, like last year, I feel like, again, there was a lot of good teams, but I don't think your average college kid can just come right out of college and play in this, because it's really pro ball now. And this year, from top to bottom, especially since there's no practice squad or nothing like that, like you got real dudes on every single team. Like no team is devoid of talent, whereas last year some teams might have been a little bit less talented. This year, it really comes down to coaching, scheme, and effort this year, because everybody is pretty much along the same realm in terms of talent.
I think that's important to point out what you said, that you don't think college kids show up here and play right away. As a dude that played in the Big Ten, played at Maryland, not necessarily comparing the talent or even the scheme, but what's the immediate jump for you? Is it the speed of the game? Is it the veteran savvy of the other players? Is it, I mean, not for nothing, dog, but you still a younger dude compared to a lot of the guys that play in this league. They're in their 28 to 32 range. What do you see as the biggest difference?
And that's the thing you just pointed out. Don't get it twisted. Like if you got like a first, second round draft pick, they can come in and obviously pick things up. But you have grown men here. Like these are grown men that feed their family with this paycheck, and that's what it is. No different than the NFL or any other professional thing. Like you got dudes 25 to 32 who have been in the NFL. Like we're about to play AJ McCarron in his playoffs. He's an NFL veteran. Like that's hard to just come out of college and just start performing at a high level against dudes that have done this for a decade or decades. You know what I'm saying? So that's pretty much the hardest thing. And I think a lot of playbooks these are professional playbooks, offensively and defensively. It's not just a bunch of like RPOs and stuff like that. You got like a whole different West Coast offenses, and you got like the way we run cover 2 and cover 4 might be different than other places. So the playbook is a lot different, and then the intelligence of the players you're going to be playing is a lot different.
For me, it's fun to watch you guys because you get to play against some of the better players that I've seen in college football. AJ McCarron being one of them, was a BCS champion quarterback at Alabama. Last thing I have for you, what do you see on film from him and from Manny Wilkins, knowing that you may or may not see both of them on Saturday?
Yeah, we're prepared for both, obviously. Manny Wilkins is obviously more of a runner. Like they like the RPO stuff, and he can get out the pocket when he needs to. And then AJ McCarron, we played him already, and then I played him, I want to say maybe twice last year in the XFL. He's a very smart veteran dude. Timing is everything. Like he's going to get the ball to the place that it needs to go to, and when it comes down to crunch time, he's going to get it to who he perceives as his playmaker. So both quarterbacks are very good in different areas. So obviously we got to prepare for both. But I think that's really the main difference. One is more timing and very smart, can really dissect the defense. The other one is obviously a great runner and has arm strength to get it to, Akeem Butler, because that's who they like the most, it looks like on film. So that's what I'm seeing.
It's a really exciting matchup for me to watch. You versus Hakeem Butler, Ja'Cour Pearson, that running back group, AJ McCarron, Manny Wilkins. It's going to be a lot of fun. Good luck this weekend, and I hope to see some really great things from you, not just this weekend, but going into the XFL Championship. Jordan Mosley, thanks so much for joining us here on the #1 college football show.
Thanks, man. I appreciate you.
That is going to do it for this episode of the UFL show on the #1 college football show. Our #1 college football show leads of screener are Jack Coakley and Torrin Westfall. They make us better in the film room. Additional support from Kiara Santana and Jim Cunningham put the special in our special teams. Producer Javion Duncan makes sure the recruits and the rivals see the cake we bake. Technical director Gabe Sable sends in the signals. Senior producer Catherine Cordaji sees the entire field from the booth. Lead producer Tyler Wojak calls plays from the sideline, and the play snaps on my clap. We're back here live next Tuesday talking all things college football. Until then, stay low, keep those feet driving. Doses.